Okay, so we have a review session today at 3 here, I guess, unless there's somebody in here, and then we'll go downstairs. And we'll record it if we can. And today what I did in the other class was I made up a little problem very similar to one that's on the quiz for FIFO, LIFO, average. We can do that again, or we can do the one that's on the quiz. I want to crank through how to do periodic and perpetual, FIFO, LIFO, average. You're going to need to know that obviously on Friday for the quiz, and then for the test, and then for the final. Lots of points in this stuff. How many of you have worked the one that's on the quiz? Okay, good. A smaller percentage in this group than in the last one. The last one was over half folks. So yeah, I suggest getting on that. You want to work that problem? Yeah. Or you want to, although in the review I told him I worked that problem. Maybe I'll make up one. It's the same thing. Maybe I'll make up one. And then we'll have three of them. We'll have the one I did last hour. This one that you could watch. How many of you went back and looked at a video from last semester or whenever? Yeah, only a few in here. The other class bunch of that. Okay, let me know. Okay, so you've done that. Real advantage because they come in already knowing how to do this. What I did was I made up a problem. I'll do the same for you, and I asked them if they wanted to work it. Two people said that would be fine. Okay, half of them, only half of them. Why should do it? So it's going to take a little practice. But it's not that bad. How many points can you get for this in the class? I don't know, on the quiz, 8, maybe, something, I don't know. And then on the test, probably double that. Not that easy, I don't know. And then that's probably 8. And then on the final, same amount. So what portion of your grade is on that to do one thing? There aren't that many things we're doing here. Really, there aren't. 14 chapters, just a couple concepts per chapter. That's all it is. Get it down, you gotta make it. Okay? But everything's that way. Every class is like that. Really. It just doesn't look that way when you're trying to do the work. So, okay, good. Okay. Let's make up a problem. Let's go for this. That, then that, then that. Do them in that order. Usually, you'll crack the order. Nope. Okay. Maybe it skips. Now it does. All right. So here we go. Let's say that I have beginning inventory, January 1st, okay? Let's say any month. Of course, this is the beginning inventory. And I have, let's do 20 units at $12. Okay? That's my cost. That's cost. Then let's say on January 5th, I have a sale. Okay? So that'll be my first sale. I sell 15 units at $20. That's not cost, that's my sales price. What is the cost? I don't know. That's what I'm going to calculate. That's it. Okay? What we're going to do. January 10th. Let's say I purchase. That'll be my first purchase. Let's purchase 22 units at $13. Well, that's of course the cost. And then on January 15th, let's sell Okay, what I'd like you to do, here's your task, is give me with all the different inventory methods. What are the different inventory methods? We got periodic. Okay. Give me the simple stuff. Periodic, FIFO, and weighted average. Okay, good. We pretend we buy everything before we sell anything, right guys? Yeah, all right. Doing periodically. Okay, good. Right, and then perpetual. The other one, right? And what methods do we have there? Same ones, FIFO, LIFO, and this time, because I don't pretend I buy everything first, I'm selling as I go, right? It is moving average. Excellent. Okay. And what I'd like you to give me for each of these, just like in the problems, is I would like you to tell me what the ending inventory is, okay? First. Then I'd like you to tell me what cost of goods sold is. Okay. Cost of goods sold. And then I want you to tell me what gross profit is. What's gross profit? You guys know gross profit, don't you? Yeah, sales less cost of goods sold. Exactly. That's it. Okay, so that's what I want. Can you get the sales here? Sure, you know the sales price of the number of units will be easy one. Okay, so those are the things that I want you to give me. Okay? So how would you go about this? What I suggest is that you find out, so that's the test, right? Quiz, whatever it's called. Okay, fine. All right, question. I want you to come up with all those things. On periodic, what's the deal? I pretend I buy everything when I sell it, right? Periodic FIFO is what? Now, this is where people screw up. They mix up FIFO and LIFO. It's real common. People are working hard. Screw this up. Some people just can't do anything. But, you know, if you're working hard, these are easy to switch. Easy to switch. It's real important. FIFO versus LIFO. What's FIFO? What are we talking about? Stands for what? First in, first out. The ones that go out are the ones we sold, right? So the first ones we have, which is the beginning inventory, and then the first purchase, and then the second purchase, right? The first ones we have are the first ones we sell. So which ones would you still have in ending inventory? The last ones you buy. The last ones. So which ones are the last ones I bought here? The 10 at 15 on January 20th, and then before that, on January 10th, 22 at 13, right? Okay. So if I'm doing FIFO, which ones would I still have? The last ones I bought. Yeah. Okay. If it's LIFO, what does that mean? Last in, first out. Now this is really for tax purposes, isn't it? But we pretend like we did what? We sold the most recent purchases first and kept the old stuff, right? So under LIFO, what's the oldest stuff we have? The beginning inventory. So we start with the beginning. What if I have more than that 20 units, though? Now what would happen? Oh, I must have kept some of the ones from the 10th, right? At 22. That's it, huh? On average, all we're going to do is we pretend we buy everything, compute the average cost of them. Cost of goods sold is going to be at average, ending inventory is going to be at average. Okay? Perpetual, though, by the way, on perpetual FIFO, you're always selling the oldest ones, aren't you? So which ones do you always have left? The most recent purchases, which means that periodic and perpetual give me exactly the same answers. And you know what? It's far easier. Those of you who've tried this, it's far easier to do which one? Periodic. So what I do is calculate FIFO on periodic to write the numbers down for periodic and perpetual. Huh? I would calculate it twice. Why? You get the same answer. Got it? Save yourself some time. Okay? LIFO and moving average are going to be different, though. Because what's happening is, as I go through the month in this case, or through a year to become a real company, right, I have to sell whatever I've got, because I know what I've got. With perpetual, I'm perpetually keeping track how much I have, right? So I know I've got it, so then I go ahead and record it as sold, because I calculate my cost of goods sold. Okay, in all of these, what are we trying to do, you guys? We're trying to do what here? Well, I want to count how many items I have. That's part of it. And then that's my ending inventory. How many I have left. How many I've sold is going to be my cost of goods sold, right? But those are in units, and what I'm going to want to convert them to? Dollars. In every case, right? So here's what I'm doing. In my case, I say I want gross profit. So I think what I'll do is I'll do my sales less my cost of goods sold. How do you calculate cost of goods sold, everybody? Well, what you start with, called beginning inventory. This is not new, you guys. We've been doing this. Beginning inventory plus what? What I start with plus what I buy? Come on. Purchases. What does that give me? What I start with plus what I buy. What's that? How much you have available. Come on. And then I subtract from what's available. What do you call that? Ending inventory. And what do I get? The cost of goods sold. You guys aware of this? What I start with plus what I buy is what I have. Right? Available. So what I start with at the beginning, what I buy purchases, available, and add them together. If I subtract what's left at the end, guess what? That's what I don't have, which is called what I sold, cost of goods sold. Come on, you guys, wake up. Okay? All right. So sales less cost of goods sold would be what? This sales up here, less cost of goods sold is going to be what, you guys? Gross profit. That's what we're doing. I know you guys know this. We've done it now for a while, haven't we? Right? Done this for a while. Okay, I want to do it in units. As the young woman up here said. Absolutely. I want to do it in units, and I want to do it in dollars. Okay, so what do I have here, you guys? What do you think I've got? Another way you could look at it instead of doing that is actually this. Units. You might want to do it this way. Dollars. Or you can do it the way the author does. No, it doesn't matter. Okay? They come up with the same answers anyway. What do we know here? In our little scenario. How many units do we start with? 20. What do we pay for? 20 times 12 is what? 40 bucks, isn't it? So guess what? My beginning inventory is 20 units, and my beginning inventory is $240. You guys agree with that? You want to put it here? Fine. 20 units, $240. Oh, that's fine. You have the idea? It's true, isn't it? All right. Then what happens? What's the very first thing that happens? We'll keep them in order for perpetual, okay? What's the first thing that happens, you guys? You sell 15. Or 20, yeah, 15 units, okay? What did they cost? They did not cost 20. That's the sales price, right? So what did they cost? I don't know. That's what I'm going to calculate. It's different for every inventory method. So the cost of goods sold for sale 1, I don't know what it is. It's different for every one of the methods. That's the whole point, what we're doing here. Okay? So we got to figure that out. Then what's the next thing that happens? Looks like we purchased 22 is the next thing. Okay? So purchase 1. 22 units. How many units do I have now? You know, if you started with 20, you sold 15, you had 5 left, now you bought 22, what do you got? 27. Of course, it's just reality. Okay? So what did they cost, though? Well, that we can figure out. What's 22 times 13? How much was that? 286 it cost. Got it? Okay? So we know how much it costs. We just don't know what our cost of goods sold are under the different methods. We'll calculate that. Okay? Fine. All right? And then what happens? Another sale, wasn't there? 21 units. What did they cost? What did they cost, you guys? No, that's the sales price. I don't know what they cost. That's what I'm doing. I'm calculating the cost. True? All right. Now what? What's the last thing that happened? Bought 10 more, didn't you? 10 at 14 is $140, is it? So that's 10 more units. Purchase 2. 10 units. Okay, we're keeping these in order. Okay? How many many units you got now? We had 20, sold 15, it made it 5. We bought 22, it made it 27. We sold 21, it made it 6. We bought 10, we have how many? 16 units. That's my ending inventory. No matter what method I use, I have 16 units left. Everybody agree with that? Okay. So if I knew what these cost of goods sold were, these are going to be cost of goods sold over here, gang, right? For sale 1 and sale 2, if I knew the cost of goods sold that I'm going to credit inventory for, I do know what I started with. Oh, I didn't put purchase. I didn't put purchase 1 in. I didn't purchase. I put purchase 1 in, not purchase 2 for my key. It's 286 and 140 was it? So I got 2 purchases. Everybody see what it is? I started with 240. I bought 286. I bought 140. I started with 20 units. I bought 22. I bought 10. That's it, right? Okay, good. All right. So if I knew what my cost of goods sold were, I could subtract it from what's available, beginning plus purchases available, right? And I could get my ending inventory. Or if I knew the ending inventory, I could subtract it from what's available and get cost of goods sold. Either one's fine. I don't care. So again, let's go. We started with 20 units. How many did we buy? Let's put it over in this format. Okay? I got 20 units when I started. How many did I buy? 22 plus 10. 32? How many do I have available? 52? Everybody agree? Whoops. 52 available? Good, of course. You know, if you start with 20 and you buy 32, you got 52, don't you? 52 units. How many dollars do we spend for the ones we buy? 286 plus 140. Everybody agree with that? 286 plus 140. How much was it? 426. 426. So I start with a beginning inventory of 240. There it is. I bought 286 and I bought 140. Well, how many are available? You don't have to do both the schedule and the key account. You can do either one. See what I'm doing? So how much is that? 6, 6, 6. Okay? Silly superstitions. I'm really hoping that there is a heaven, not a hell. My behavior over my lifetime, right? I need better odds. Yeah. I did tell you guys about that, right? That I was raised Baptist, American Baptist, not Southern Baptist. Southern are bigots and sexist. American are not quite as bad, right? They're better about it all. But anyway, anyway, yeah. And how many of you guys are Catholic? You know, well, you guys will enjoy this. Anyway, I'm married to a Catholic. I think it's just a wonderful religion. Except there's more stress in your lives than there is for, you know, more fundamental stuff. Right? You know why? You guys get all your sins forgiven every time you go to confession. If you do what you damn well please, you go to confession, you get to go to heaven again. But there's pressure. What if you get run over, you know, across the street before you go to confession? How do you go to hell? Right? You didn't make it in time. Right? It's true, isn't it? Pretty much the way it is. Okay? Versus in fundamentalist religion, more fundamentalist, not the American Baptist, all the fundamentalists. But anyway, non-Catholic religions, when you don't make the confession of sins, as soon as you've been saved, you know, in our case, being baptized, I think not. The first time you sin, after that, you're condemned to hell. There's no pressure. You know you're going. We do as you please from now on, too. You like it? Jesus, terrible. Okay, anyway, this is not a theology class. What is it called? You heard your name. You've got a song about where religion came from. Yeah, it's I think something. It's hilarious type of cheap guy. One guy had all the money in the world, right? And everybody else was going to come and kill him to take his money away and all his wealth away. So he created religion. God loves me. Let me tell you about God loves me. That's why I have all my stuff. So, you know, don't kill me, right? So, and I'll tell you how to get stuff too. Yeah, it didn't work very well. Never thought, I don't know if you can get like that. Okay, anyway, I hope he's wrong about that. How many units do we have available? 52. How many are left at the end? 16. How many don't we have? I guess 52 less 16. How many is that? 36, is it? plus 21, it's 36. 15 plus 21 is 36. This is simple, isn't it? Okay, so these aren't units. They're obviously the one sold, 36. So let's see what's going on here. If I knew the ending inventory in dollars, I could get the cost of goods sold, right? Well, first let's do the sales. Can you guys give me the sales? Might as well over here. What's the sales right now? How many units do they sell? 15 and 20, looks like 300, right? 21 and 20, what's that? 420? So what's 15 plus 21? 31 times 20. 31 times 20. Is that right? There's 300. Guys, I need a calculator, right? 5. It's 31, right? At 20. If you remember. Oh, it's 420. I said it right, but yeah, so what do we get? 720? 300 plus 420 is 720? Sure. So my sales must be 720. Easy, huh? To make fun of you kids can't do it in your head, and I screwed it up. Okay, 720, huh? No matter what the cost of goods sold is, the sales are still 720. We got it made. If we knew the cost of goods sold for each one of these methods, we could do it, couldn't we? Okay, so here we go. How do you want to do it? Let's do periodic, okay? Because they're easiest, I would do these first. Let's do all the periodic ones. What do you do? You can do that one right here. What do you do for FIFO? First in, first out, which ones do you still have? Last one's the boss. How many do we have? Every time, how many do we have, you guys, in ending inventory? How many units in ending inventory? 16. It's 16, right? It's 16. I need 16 units. Which ones? That's all you got to ask yourself. Which one? Oh, the last purchase was 10, wasn't it? 10 at $14. That's the most recent purchase. That's 140, right? We already calculated it even. Isn't that cool? We already calculated it, so we can just copy them down. And then how many more do you need? Another how many? 6 units. What do? I go back to the next most recent purchase, which I think would be that one, wouldn't you? 6 times what?
13.
Trying to write down the wrong number again. We bought those for 13. Fantastic. $78? Excellent. How about adding the two of them together? 17 units. That cost me 218. Okay, so 16 units. Ending inventory. That cost me 218. That's using what? FIFO periodic. You know what? FIFO perpetual is exactly the same. I got 2 of them done. So what do I have? Ending inventory is how much? 218. Ending inventory perpetual. 218. This is going to be a joke, you guys. Practice this a few times. All right, if ending inventory is 218, let's plug it in over here, right? Everybody see what I did? 218. If it's 218 and you had 666 available, what's gone now? How about 666 less 218? What's that, everybody? 440. Everybody good? So my cost of goods sold must be 448 for both of them. All right? Now what? Let's calculate our gross profit. What was sales every time? What is it? 720. With this method, what's my cost of goods sold? 448. What's the difference between the two? 288. Is that what that is? My math skills are really something. Could I get 288 in that? I'm set back on your ready. 272. 272. Good stuff. Everybody good? This is too easy. Well, I got a lot of points now. Okay? Let's switch to LIFO. Periodic. units in ending inventory? Of course. 16 units. All right. So this is the ending inventory, right? These are both of them. What do I do? Oh, the beginning inventory is 20 units, so I've got 16 of those left, right? What if I had more than 20? Let's say I had 22. I take the 20 and then what? Go to the first purchase after that, right? After the beginning. That's it. What if there's not enough in the first two purchases? Go to the third one. If not enough, go to the fourth one. Got the idea? This company could have lots and lots of purchases. Lots and lots of sales. Okay? So anyway, yeah, I guess it's 16 units. At what price? $12. That was the beginning, wasn't it? How much is that? $190. All right, we never do anything by cents. Okay, that was memorized. Okay, anyway, that's our ending inventory if we're using LIFO periodic. Got it? That's too easy to believe. Okay, if that's true, 192. And perpetual is going to be different. I'll write it down for perpetual. Okay, it's going to be different because we're constantly selling things, right? So on. All right. So let's go back over here then, and let's plug what we know in. Look at this. Nothing to it. I know the ending inventory is how much then with that method? We had 218 with FIFO periodic. We have 192 with LIFO periodic. What's 192 away from 666? 474. Yeah. Oh. So 474 is cost of goods sold? You bet. Guess what gross profit is? Sales is how much, everybody? 720. What's cost of goods sold? 474. What's the difference? I'm going to quit trying to do it myself. 246, okay? I took my ending inventory, 192. Right? That's the ending inventory there. 192 and subtracted from 666. Yeah, every time. Available less ending inventory is cost of goods sold. We're changing ending inventory. We're changing cost of goods sold the opposite direction. Is it true that ending inventory plus cost of goods sold has to be what's available? Everything that was available, you can still have it or you don't. If you don't, it's cost of goods sold. If you do, it's inventory. Can I clear that? All right. So what do we have left to do before we go for some perpetual stuff? We got one more periodic. What is it? Periodic average. Okay. Now this one's really simple too. What we're going to do is we're going to do 16 units, but we want to know what the average one costs first. What the average one costs? What do I got? 16 units in ending inventory. By the way, how many do I have in cost of goods sold? How many units do I sell? My simple with that. It's 36, wasn't it? So I could do both of these. Cost of goods sold. Okay? I'm going to do them at the average. Oh, if I knew the average, I could find out what ending inventory is, and I could find out what cost of goods sold is. What do you think? How much should I pay for the... How many units do I have available? Let's do that first. How many units are available, everybody? And I started with 20, and then I bought 22, and then I bought 10, right? I have 52 available, don't I? See available right there? 52 available. What did I spend for them? 240 was the beginning, plus 286 for purchase 1, plus 140 for purchase 2. What does all that add up to? 666. Everybody agree? Couldn't you just take your total available, which is 666, and divide it by the number of units that I have available, right? How many units is it? 52 units. Wouldn't that give me the cost per unit? 1207? Did I get 1207 out of that? 12, oh, I see, 1281. Okay, and we leave that in our calculator as the wisest way to do it, so we don't have rounding problems. Okay? So you can just leave that in the calculator. So 1281 about. So the average one costs 1281. Look at this. What's 1281 times 16 units? What's 1281 times 36? That must be my ending inventory and my cost of goods sold, huh? Okay, that's my ending inventory, everybody. Do you agree? What's my cost of goods sold got to be?
461.8.
Yeah. Stick around count for us. Okay. All right. So let's make sure we're right. So what did we say it was? I didn't write down LIFO. I should have. Okay. What did we say our ending inventory is? 204.92. Right. The answer is. Running out of space. Okay. What did I say? 204.92. No, that's 204.92, and then we said that our cost of goods sold is 461.08. See if these are going to work. Let's put the 204.92 in. Take 204.92 away from 666, and what do you get for the cost of goods sold?
461.08.
It's a miracle. Everybody see it? So a variety of ways you can calculate it. True? Yes, sir.
I follow like where you're going with this, but I do it a different way. Like, are there other ways?
Yes. Do the way the author does. You might want to show me how you do it, or do several of them that way and make sure you're not. Are you figuring out what your cost of goods sold is and then backing into the inventory, or are you calculating your inventory and then going to the cost of goods sold?
Well, what I did is I listed all of them out on like a T chart, and then I had like 36. That's your sold, yeah, and then so I just check out the
Yeah. Okay. Just to make sure that it didn't work one time, it won't work again. That happens. Yeah, I don't care what it's about. It's all the same. It's just basic math. So what do you think gross profit is, you guys? If we know cost of goods sold is 461.08, and we know sales are 720, what's the difference? 258.90. How fast can you do a problem like this? Really, pretty quickly once you know what you're doing, guys. I'm going to give you, well, not enough time on the quiz, but lots of time on the test. The other way around. Less time on the quiz, not much time on the test, lots of time. Okay, so we got LIFO and moving average left to do, right? Okay, let's give that a shot. Okay, what I'd suggest here is that you use keywords, okay? Because we're going to want to keep track of all the layers, okay? So now this is inventory, right? We're doing here. So this is going to be LIFO. Why don't we have to do FIFO? Because it's the same, perpetual is the same as periodic, right? So we already know what it is. And that is because we're always selling off what? The older stuff. So it works out to be exactly the same. If you want me to show you in the review session an example of that, if you're happy to, or you can do it yourself both ways, right? You end up with the same answers. LIFO, perpetual. This is inventory we're doing, okay? Inventory. So let's keep track of each layer as we go. They talk about LIFO layers. That's what you have left. You haven't sold. Last in, first out. Which ones do you sell first? The last ones that came in. Which ones do you keep? The old stuff. Only now with perpetual, I know when I'm selling things, so I sell whatever I've got at that point. Okay? What's my beginning inventory? How many units? What did they cost me? Okay, remember that? You got that written down there, right? Everybody good? 20 units at $12. How much was that? You knew that, didn't you? What's the first thing that happens? There's a sale. So sale one. By the way, can I make it a purchase first? Sure. In the other class I did. Right? Doesn't make a difference. I can't remember what I did in the quiz. Yes, I did sale first. Okay. This is 15 units. What does it have to be? Which units am I selling? 20, some of those 20, right? I'll have 5 left. So from this layer of inventory I'm selling, of course, 15 units at $12, what's cost of goods sold going to be? It's 180, isn't it? Yeah, but what? Told you. Cost of goods sold. That's the debit to cost of goods sold and credit to what? What account is this thing? Inventory, merchandise inventory. So if I have to do journal, it's a big deal. Thank you, right? Debit cost of goods sold, credit inventory. You just calculate it. Okay, what do I have left? That is called LIFO layer. Got it? That's $60. And what is 240 less 180, of course? It's 60. Okay? Then what happens next?
Why did you count to 12?
Because it costs 12. I bought it for 12. When I sold some of them, the cost was 12. The ones that are left, they're worth at 12. If I have 20 at $12, and I sell 15 at $12, how many do I have left? 5 at $12.
Did we sell the ones from the beginning inventory?
I had to this time because I hadn't bought any.
Oh,
This is perpetual.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, there you go. All right, yeah, I see what you're asking.
I was looking at the ones that we on the sale. Those are at $20.
Oh, the sales price is 20.
Yeah.
The cost is 12. I made $8 on each of them. So got to keep sales price separate from cost. Okay, there? Okay, good. It cost me $12. If I recorded this, I'd debit accounts receivable for the sales price, wouldn't it? Which is 15 times 20, right? Everybody agree with that? Okay, so that'd be 300. I debit accounts receivable or cash, and I credit sales for 300, wouldn't it? And then I debit cost of goods sold for 180 and credit inventory for 180. What's the gross profit on this sale? 300 less 180 is what? 120, which is $8 a unit. $20 sales price less $12 cost. $8 a unit times 15 units is how much? The profit, 120. Isn't it? Okay. I would debit accounts receivable, credit sales, for my sales price times the units, 15 units times $20. You guys have done this 1,000 times. How much is that? $300. True? And my cost of goods sold would be what? We just calculated it. Debit cost of goods sold, credit merchandise inventory, how much? 15 units times the cost, which in this case was how much? $12. How much is that? 180. And then I just asked you, what's your gross profit? Sales less cost of goods sold is gross profit. Stop memorizing. You know that, don't you? What I sell something for less what it cost me is my gross profit. Huh? Less my operating expenses is my net income. True? You're adding this new stuff to what you already knew. It's not a whole new world. You'll go crazy if you treat it like a whole new world. Okay? You can't relearn everything every time you do it. What if you try to do that with reading? Oh, I forgot to read. I want to read another book. I've got to learn how. Wow. It'd take you a while to read a novel, huh? Every time you put it down, you forget how to read, and then you pick it back up, and you got to go back and learn how to read again before you can read the next page. Don't do that. Don't do that to yourself. And it's really tempting here, isn't it? Because stuff is hard, and you're trying to learn a whole bunch all at once. Because you're in a college, university, whatever. Whatever the difference between those are. And by the way, there is theoretically a difference. Okay, 120, huh? Everybody got it? Okay, let's do the next one. Let's go back. All right. What's the next thing that happened? Purchase, right? How many units do we buy? 22 units. What did they cost? 13. How much is that? What's 13 times 22? 286. How much inventory do I now have? Looks like 60 plus 286. You guys agree with that? 346. How many units do I have? 27. I have 2 LIFO layers. Got it? 5 units at 12 and 22 units at 13. What's the next thing that happens? Okay, I'm going to sell 21 units. It's only 21, so it's easy. 21 times what? Last in, first out. It's these last ones that came in at $13 then. Okay? What's that? 273. All right? Everybody got it? Debit what? Cost of goods sold. Credit what? Merchandise inventory. Let's say we had sold 24. What would you do if you sold 24? You'd take 22 at 13 and sell those, right? And then what else would you have to sell? 5, I guess, right? What did I say? 24? 2 more. 24. Two of the 5 you'd have to sell, and what they cost? 12. You'd have to compute it, wouldn't you? Oh, that's it. Big deal. You can do that, right? Okay. What do I have left now? I got rid of all 20, or I got rid of all but one of those, didn't I? So I have 5 units from my beginning inventory still left over at $12. Those are still 60 because I did not deplete that LIFO layer. I still have that one. And then how much do I have from purchase 1? 22 less 21 is 1 unit at how much? 13. How much is that? 13. What's my total inventory at this point? 6 units that cost me $73. Everybody got it? Okay. So, I had 27. I sold 21. There's 6 left. Everybody agree with that? I had $346 here, and I sold 273 of it. Do I have 73 left? Yes. What's the next thing that happens? There was one more purchase, was there? How many was it? 10 units. What did they cost? And I got inflation. Right? Could go down in price too, of course. So that was 140, right? And where am I at now? Actually, I don't keep that line to it. What do I have in my inventory right now? I have 16 units in total. 5 plus 1 plus 10 in 3 different layers, huh? I got to keep track of these layers. You see why LIFO would be expensive? Doing it by hand. Even with computers, you have to pay for the computer storage and all that stuff. But anyway. And what did it cost for those 16 units? I've got 16 units. That's my ending inventory, isn't it? Because I'm done. Of course, imagine hundreds of purchases and thousands of sales. Got the idea? So they're my ending inventory. It's 16 units. Well, that's what it is, isn't it? It's been 16 the whole time. And what's the total cost? 213. Okay. Absolutely. You got that. What's my total cost of goods sold? I bet it's 180 and 273. How much is that? 453. Okay, let's see if this is working for us. Okay, see how well that works. Go back. Here we go. Put the numbers in here. Okay, what did we just say our cost of goods sold is? What did we say our ending inventory was? 213. Oh, well, what was 666 available? Less 213 ending inventory. 453. That works perfect, didn't it? Okay? So yeah, I think I can put 213 as my LIFO inventory. And notice that LIFO is different than periodic was, right? LIFO perpetual is different than periodic. Typically is. Okay? And then what? Unless there's very little activity in inventory. What's cost of goods sold? 453. How would you get your gross profit? What's your total sales? 720. Take away your cost of goods sold to 453. What do you have, everybody? 267. All right. Some people sitting here are really bored because they know how to do this. Other people sitting here are really bored because they're giving up. There are a few of you in between, and that's the ones I'm talking to. Right? Fix it. Get you there. If you're in the second category, get with it. Get with it. Get with it.
720 minus 453 to get the gross profit. Where's the 720 from?
Oh, 720 is our sales. Remember back when we had 15 and 20, and we had 21 and 20, which I had a heck of a time 36
okay.
times 20 is
Yeah.
720.
I was
Yeah.
just thinking.
It's always going to be the same thing. Yeah. Got it. No matter what inventory that. All right, good. Well, then let's do one more, and we're done. Okay? Let's add. What method haven't we done, guys? Moving average, which is a perpetual system. This is still inventory. Beginning inventory. Now, by the way, beginning inventory would be different with all these methods. Why? Because 1 year's ending is the next period's beginning, right? So it's just for this problem, I make it the same to keep my life simpler. Okay? Problem simpler. How many units we start with? What they cost? How much is that? Okay. Now, if I sell some now, what's the average? 12, right? That might have been a whole bunch of different purchases, right? That averaged out to 12. All right, fine. What's the first thing that happens? A sale or a purchase? I just sale it. How many units is it? 15 units. So this method's kind of easier than the LIFO in a way. 15 at what? $12. How much is that? 180. Debit what? Cost of goods sold. Credit what? Merchandise inventory. All right, okay. What do I have left? 5 units. What'd they cost me? $12. How much is that? 60. Now, again, if the beginning inventory was different, it would have been different numbers than the other one, right? All right. So what happens next? Purchase, I think? So keep them in order. If you get them out of order, this all goes crazy. You can imagine. Okay, so keep them in the order. They're in the problem, right? The date sequence. Purchase one is how many units? What they cost? How much was that? See why I like to calculate them out at the beginning and have to sit there on a sheet of paper? Yeah, you just go grab it over and over. Don't calculate it over and over. What for? Okay? Now we got to get an average. Every time you buy, you got a new moving average. Make sense? When you sell, you don't change the average. You just sold them at the average. Okay? How many units do we have now? What do they cost on average? I don't know yet. What do they cost in total? 346. Can anybody tell me how to get an average? 27 that cost me in total 346. Divide it in. So it's a moving weighted average, really, isn't it? Right? What is it? 1281. Why is it so much closer to the 13 than the 12? Because you got 22 at 13 and only 5 at 12, right? Okay, what happens next? The sale, I think? What's my cost of goods sold going to be for this one? How many units was it? What did they cost on average? 1281. We're there, you guys. How much was that? And we leave it in our calculator, you know, to get it. 269. I'm just going to round it. 269. Okay. Debit cost of goods sold, credit inventory, right? Okay. So there's my cost of goods sold that you added together. How many units are left? 6 units. What did they cost me? 1281. How much is that? Well, it's 346 less 269. We'll just round it. What's that? $77?
70.
Yeah. Well, if we hadn't rounded, it would have come out. Okay, so $77, 346 less 369. And then what's the last thing that happened? 10 units, 14 bucks. That's 140. If I were going to sell more, what would I have to do? Take the 16 units, figure out the average. So let's go ahead and do the average one more time. What do we have in total there? So we'll do 217. Okay, what's 217 divided by 16? 1350 is what we would use if I was going to sell some more. But what's my ending inventory, everybody? 16 units that cost me $217, right? What's my cost of goods sold? 180 plus 269. How much is that? 459.
I have 449. I'm saying 450.
Oh, 450. 449. Yeah, I wanted to come up with 449.
Yeah.
Okay, gang. Now what do? Plug it back in, right? Remember the 217 and the 449. So you could go go back here. There we go. Our ending inventory was 217. All right. So if we put 217 in here, ending inventory, that's slightly different, isn't it? Each of these are different. Imagine they're millions of dollars to make a difference in your net income. Okay, what's my cost of goods sold? 666 less 217 was how much? 349, is that what it was? 449. There we go. 449. What would that do to my cost? That's numbers we had on the other schedule, right? Good. 270. And we are done. Okay? Piece of cake. No, it's not. It is after you do it a few times, though. It's just like, oh, I got it. Understand what you're doing and why you're doing it. You got it baked in. See this later. You want to stick around, we're going to do present values, future values, annuities, stuff we're going to be doing in a